You name it, we've lived it.
And are living it.
Brits moving from the UK all the way to Australia with not a pot to piss in.
A whirlwind romance sparkled on Tinder.
3 months in, pregnant, starting 2 now successful businesses through COVID.
To another 2 new businesses post-COVID, whilst juggling 2 young, spirited children.
Living worldwide, travelling and pure hustle. We are nothing short of batshit crazy, but motivated as fuck. We are here to tell you our story,
inspire,
teach,
and probably scare the crap out of you.
Uncut, raw and real. Welcome to Business, Babies and Banter
with Henry
and Jade. Welcome to Business, Babies and Banter. I'm Jade.
I'm Henry.
And we just had to restart this because Henry forgot his name.
I didn't forget my note. I always say something funny based on the shit that you call me, but then nothing came to my lips in time, and therefore
he realised he wasn't funny, basically. Today, it was the universe aligned a series of events to bring the subject of today's podcast. But I think it's something that really is important, well, so important. But especially at a time like Christmas, don't you think, Henry, when, you know, people don't actually say what they want or need, that everyone's flapping because it's Christmas. Everyone's like, the boundaries go out the window and, you know, people's communication goes tits up. And yeah, a lot of people end up getting upset and triggered and bloody, you know what I mean?
yes,
I think Christmas magnifies that, don't you think?
yeah, perhaps. But this wasn't about that, though. This was you were going to use me. That business is up.
Well, no, for communication in everything, in every way, like in businesses. We're going to go into that. But the thing that triggered Henry, pretend you're interested, babes.
I'm going to end deep listening.
Always deep listening. Okay, the thing that triggered for those that are watching, you can see. But for those that aren't watching, I'll explain. I had a beautiful massage today. Which the team paid for me to have, didn't they? You assisted them with it. It was a beautiful holistic place. And they did, this special massage and all that. Anyway, I'm lying down and completely unbeknown to me, I felt this warm, lovely, soothing, like paw sensation on my head. And I thought, fuck, are they pouring oil on my head? And in fact, they were. So this is hours later. How many hours? 2? It is saturated in oil, isn't it, Henry? Like completely and utterly saturated in oil. And it triggered me to think about how important communication was, because luckily I need to wash my hair anyway. Luckily I'm pretty chill. But if they really should have communicated with me and said, we wanted to give you the option. Would you like your head to be massaged with oil today? Would you like a dry scalp massage?
Did they actually massage you?
They massaged my head, yeah. And then she just left it and went, would you like a hairband after? And I was like, I'd like a hair wash if that was available and a fucking blow dry if possible, because I did not expect. We had an interview in salon. Luckily, I know the person. She's actually one of my clients. It's not a big deal. But if I had freshly washed my hair, or if I had been interviewing someone that I don't know, I can't do an interview with hair like this at a hair salon. And so it triggered me to think about, the importance of communication, and it's across everything. Like relationships crumble without communication, friendships, family interactions, but, most importantly, business.
Yeah. And I think, this comes down to you always learn
the hard way.
Yeah, you always learn where you need communication when you don't have it and something bites you in the ass. So I think the topics that we can talk about, obviously, are terms and conditions when things go wrong. I think what's involved, so consultations, what's involved in terms of when you're selecting a service or buying a product, knowing exactly what it is, on what it says on the tin, those communications.
And also communication with your team in terms of leadership.
Yeah.
It's not just your customers. Like, if you're not cleared on what the expectations are and what you need from a staff member, how can you expect them to just know it? And unfortunately, not everyone has as much initiative as you might like. So sometimes you have to communicate even clearer, and even goes for clients. Like, we were actually laughing about how simplified we have had to make our terms and conditions. specifically in salon. So in essence, we have a policy which is super fair, regular policy, 48 hours to change, reschedule your appointment. Because it's if you have a 5-hour appointment blocked out for a big color, a toner, and a cut, we need to be able to fill that. And Christmas time you might have a wait list, but other times, sometimes we can't fill it, and it's a huge detriment to the business. And in the weeks leading up to that, we've been turning people away. That's how it happens. And when this isn't upheld, and the policy is that we charge 50%, people lose their mind. Occasionally, not everyone.
No. Bank clawbacks, etc. So now what we've done is we've made sure it's displayed everywhere, because the clients will, I didn't see the T&Cs. It's literally ended up in a text message. So we send it in a text message. We have it on the website. We have it in online booking. We have it fucking everywhere, because it has to be charged. And it's now what's the point where we've taken that a step further, and he made the policy even more refined, which is that if they don't turn up to the appointment, they get charged in full. And if they don't pay it, so if we can't charge their card on file because they've taken the money out, they've got no funds, they can't come back in and have another service until it's paid in full. And we have to take a strong stance. But it's led us to so many hiccups of clients disputing it with their bank, to coming in and kicking off, to get us to this point now where we've had to be overly transparent. Would you agree? I feel it's overly transparent, but it's what's needed.
But do you know what else I think is important to note? The wording, we actually took a bit of inspiration from me for once, and it's much firmer. So Henry was like, "I need to make these changes," but we've actually addressed from a very realistic but emotional perspective why this is important. And so, clients don't realize, people don't realize, it's not clients, it's just people in general don't realize the consequences of their actions. They're just thinking, "Oh yeah, I don't need that appointment. Oh, I'm just not going to go, can't be bothered. Oh, yeah, I might just push it out after Christmas." But for us, it's like someone that is not able to get an appointment, that was desperate, that has been told no because that person took their place and they're not bothered showing up. It's a staff member that's really motivated because we have an amazing commission structure here. So the staff are like, "Yeah, this," and then their day's been destroyed and they're actually physically going to take home less money because of it. It's us as a business, investing X amount of money in marketing and this and that. And then we are paying a staff member their wage, the GST, the fucking super, and they've got nothing to do. And so the repercussions are so much higher than what they realize. And so what we did is, we did swear, of course, but in the terms and conditions we wrote, we want to make sure that we, if the people that, how is it going? It's like, there are so many people that really desire this appointment. So in the instance that you don't need it, please let us know so we can ensure that the people that need and want the appointments can have this. We believe in beautiful hair, not in...
And that our staff can do what they love to do.
Yeah, that our staff can do what they love to do and they're passionate about, which is making people feel good. So it's a really firm and very transparent terms and conditions. But it's actually really, it appeals to a woman anyway. We're female dominated, might not work in corporate. But for us, for our holistic hair salon, it's appropriate. And I don't think it could be clearer communicated.
So the question for you is, was the massage description that you had, did it have a head massage with oil?
So I actually looked, no, but let me tell you, but I bought it as a gift. So if I go online and have a look potentially, but I bought it as a gift and I just opted for, the gift what the gift voucher was. So I am going to look into that. And look, I'm not going to leave a review. I'm not, it's not the end of the world, but it just triggered me to think, because
you don't know what everyone's situation is going to be. Everyone's situation is different, and everyone interprets things in different ways. And what did we always be told today? You can't assume, because every time you assume, you're
90% of the time you're wrong. Yeah. But to be honest, I don't know. This is I'm not going to name them, but it was, but it was a really nice place. Everything was exceptional. The customer service, the fit out, everything was great.
So they do it on your head.
It's not honest, but it's so bad. Feel it. It is so. I'm gonna have to wash it 5 times. And I'm thinking, I'm a hairdresser, so I'm like, oh, I can manage this. If I was a client, I might be freaking out. I might be thinking, fuck, I don't know how to wash this. Like, they didn't even tell you how to wash it out. They didn't tell you how to manage it. She just went, "You need a hairband." But no, I like I said, I just need a hair wash.
So I think as well, one of the big things that we've realized with our other side of the business with Frey Hair and Makeup is that sometimes when selling or providing a service, sometimes educating the client or the receiver on what to expect and what's going to happen is actually the best way of getting
Getting them over the line.
and getting them over the line.
And also options.
Yeah. So if you are someone who, or if you've got, if you have a business which is where it's a service or a product, if you explain how that product works, if you explain how that service works, if you explain what can they expect when they use it, and show them and give them all the different scenarios and A, B, C's, etc. Number one, you're building trust, and also you then cover yourself from any issues of something happening which they weren't expecting, and then them complaining or wanting a refund or leaving a bad review.
100%. And it's the same in a relationship, Do you want to do the dishes? Or do you want to make all the beds? Sounds that fucking, but no, but it's so fucking good, isn't it? And obviously you can be pretty smart with this, and you can really amp up the one that you don't want to do because the other one you're going to do anyway. But let them know what they're going to expect. What are the options? These are your 2 options. Which one would you like to go for? These are the benefits of this one. If you don't do this, these are going to be the repercussions.
Driveway and lots of.
It's like, do you want to go upstairs and have some fun, or do you want to power wash the entire driveway? He goes, yeah. Anyway, the driveway's looking immaculate. She didn't panic. But no, communication and how we deliver it is absolutely everything. And across all aspects of business, even when we think about children, business babies and banter, mate. Let's talk about our kids. Like, the way that you communicate with your children, not only from a psychological, scientific development aspect, impacts how they perceive the world, the amount of self-worth they have, limiting beliefs, all of these things. But like the response when we're feeling patient, when you're not as triggered, when you're not as pissed off, when you haven't been busting your balls today and haven't had a drink of water, your a response to mummy, mum, mummy, mum might be, Hugo, what do you need? Give me 1 minute. I'm not ready to talk right now. Or it might be, hey, buddy, calm down a minute. Or we might even joke with them and go, Hugo, 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 compared to when we're feeling absolutely our wits and had enough to stop it. Stop. It's enough. And the response that you're going to get and the outcome is so significantly different just because of the body language, the tone, and the kind of communication that you used. And ultimately, the build-up of communications, the standards that you meet, depending on who you're talking to, the outcome that you want to get, the solution that you want to get, it literally weaves into the outcome of your life, which is so fucking deep. But think about it. If you communicate poorly throughout your life to your clients, to your customers, to your partner, to your children, to your colleagues, to your friends, to your family, it will ultimately result in you having the outcome and undesirable aspects of life that you weren't looking for because you weren't able to clearly communicate your needs, your wants, your boundaries.
This is a bit too deep and sentimental.
Oh, Henry can't cope. Henry's going off the rails. He just wants to talk about business all the time. We'll say no, but
it does make sense. It does make sense.
It's so important.
And I think also, even if you're not a bad communicator, not communicating at all worse.
100.
So it's better to be a bad communicator than someone that doesn't even try. Would you agree?
A bad communicator that has the intention to get better. Right? Yeah, not someone that's just like, I'm bad and I don't give a fuck.
No, but bad and someone that will try and get their point across, but doesn't necessarily communicate it well, versus someone that doesn't say anything.
100%. Yeah, if you got nothing to say, then you can't expect anything. I think. Okay, if you're listening and you think you may be a bad communicator, so this is a really good tip. First of all, obviously, the standard, educate yourself. I'm going to let Henry say any tips he has on educate yourself and communicating, but read books, etc. But as a very baseline starting point, if you can sense or anticipate, which everyone can, right, that you're not quite able to articulate what you want to say, that something's holding you back, where you say something, you're like, that actually wasn't really what I needed or wanted to say, just be honest. Just say straight up, do you know what? I don't know if I quite got across what I wanted to say there. I'm so sorry if you misunderstood. How did you receive that? Because that's the starting point, but probably not to your customers. From a professional perspective, you might not want to like give them too much power and opportunity. But certainly if you're terrible at communicating and you're like, I don't know how to get better at this, just do your best. And then like that is actually practicing communication, isn't it? Just being like, hey, I don't know if that was,
Yeah.
what do you think? Because you've got amazing at your communicating over the years. You were shit for.
Well, there's different things. There's different ways you can look at it. If you're looking at how you communicate, we always were taught, to communicate by looking in the mirror and speaking to yourself. Because sometimes you might communicate or you might talk and you're just sat there with no emotion, no tone of voice, you're not boring. But then when you're actually in the mirror, you put a smile on your face, you move your hands, move your body a little bit.
Look at your hair like this, trying to check out how your face and hair pole energy.
But with communication, what is it? They say that 7% is what you say, 23% is tonality, so how you say something, and then 70% is body language. So even if you're not a great communicator, just by actually speaking and sounding enthusiastic or having some tonality and using your body language, smiling, using eye contact, mirroring, there's a big thing, when it comes to sales, your eye contact, mirroring, they're huge for building rapport. So if you are having a difficult conversation with someone, or if you're having a conversation with your intimate partner or someone that you're trying to be intimate with, things like body language, eye contact, and mirroring are huge for building that rapport. And
Don't touch their leg, just eye contact and
elbow, back of the elbow.
He does that to clients actually. He does it. Oh, come through, Marjorie.
Yeah. It'll touch on the back of the elbow. It's rapport in it. I promise you, it's NLP, study this. Touching someone like this is a bit weird. But if you're building rapport, you're a bit of a joke nerd. You know what I mean? That is rapport builder. Eye contact, body language, tone of voice, big things. And then, of course, even if you're talking shit, you're not quite sure what to say, you can sound like a professional and an expert from how you deliver it.
Yeah, 100%. I think also authenticity is so important when we're talking about business, any kind of communication. Ultimately, we talk about this a lot. When we're talking about business, communication is always on the outcome that is the most prosperous and beneficial for the business, for the client and what they need, but based on the service that you're offering. Does that make sense? Like, it's so easy, especially if you're objection handling or, if there's someone being quite challenging and pushing back from a business perspective, you can just get run away with your emotions and talk about how you're feeling, how they're making you feel, how you feel about the situation. Actually, that's not relevant. What is the outcome that you want? Do you want this person to leave and you actually don't want them to ever come to your business again? If that's the case, listen to them and then gently, politely ask them to leave, right? So that they don't go nuts and leave loads of reviews. But generally, 9 times out of 10, you want to retain that client, right? You do want to make them happy. We want to make everyone happy. And if someone's being a bit challenging, not swearing and insulting you, but a bit challenging, you actually need to think about, well, my feelings aside, I'm going to listen to this person. Seen, heard, understood. They're the 3 key elements that all humans need to feel. That is how we respond best. And provide them with solutions, really think about what is the end game and how can I communicate right now to move me towards that outcome that I want and need for myself, for my business, for the best interest of the client. Because sometimes it's just similar.
Let's just rewind this here because you do that not organically, but sometimes there's a strategy. You need a strategy behind it. So why don't you talk about if you were someone that wasn't as good, as strong as or experienced a communicator as you, and there was a certain outcome, how would you strategically pathway so that you could go into the conversation and know your direction?
Is it in a business? Have you got energy around it? Is this in business? Because it's different for every place.
Work, business. Let's call it let's say exclude intimate relationship. Let's do typical conversation, business work.
Yeah, business work. So not friendships or intimate personal relationships. Okay. I would. You have to know what the best, most feasible, right? Can't be unrealistic as well. The best and most feasible outcome is for your job, whether you're an employee, for your business, if you're a business owner. If you don't know that, then you're lost. You need to know rationally. This is all about not emotional, rational. What is the outcome that is going to be best for me, for my job, for the client's best interest in the business? Straight up. As soon as you know that, if it is in any way in the direction of retaining or finding, you always want to find a solution for a client. You should only be severing that relationship, burning that bridge, so to speak, which you still would do in a very, you know, polite manner. You should only be doing that if there is literally no other alternative. If this person, what they're asking, demanding, requesting is so far from what is physically like feasible to offer, that it is actually no longer an option for them to continue seeing you or being part of the business or part of your journey within your work, then you just want to listen and you want to basically just.
I think this is communication here, watch this. I think I might have misworded my question for everybody, didn't interpret it correctly. But what I was referring to was, for instance, if you've got a difficult conversation, sometimes you're not going to go straight into the conversation. You know what the end outcome is, but you're not going to go straight in with this isn't good. You might sandwich it. So there might be some good elements, and then you might come up with a problem, or you come up with a thing that's upset you. That's saying that there's another stuff. Not but it's everything, because I disagree. I think about this. Everyone responds differently to ways of communication. Some people, males, direct is fine. You can be direct, you can be straight to the point, and you can be a little bit assertive. With females, you need to be a bit more fluffy and a bit more compassionate, and lean on their endearing side. Otherwise, you're not going to get the desired outcome from them.
But when we're talking about like staff or employees or colleagues versus clients, the client doesn't need to be sandwiched. The client needs to be heard, understood, and seen. And then you need to let them know undoubtedly that you have understood, even if it's unreasonable or it's a bit fucking weird. And then you need to find a feasible solution based on the facts. They don't need to be sandwiched. They don't need to have positive, negative, none of that bullshit. It's just you are serving them, you are listening, you are surrendering, and then you are feasibly finding solutions based on the scenario, experience, situation. When you're talking to colleagues or staff, or even intimate partners, yeah, absolutely. You need to be on that understanding way, but you sandwich it. You understand and you care that these are the negatives and these are the things that I do want to address and talk to you about. But ending on a positive note, there's no beginning, middle, and end with a client. It's just listening to.
You weren't specifically talking about clients. We were just talking about work and business in general.
Okay, but no, but it's very relevant. There's talking to clients and serving clients or customers, and then there's managing team. Totally different things.
But you're very patient with clients. You're not direct. You're not always direct. You listen.
I can be extremely direct.
You also listen and you go, I understand, and you listen to what they say. And in some conversations where it's not a client, that's definitely not the structure in which you would go about it. That's what I was asking anyway. We divulged, as we always do. Let's move on.
You made me lose my trail of thought now. Yeah, I think also like boundaries really come into communication, don't you think? Because, and I know you're going to be like, oh, this is too spiritual, emotional, but it's actually not, because for example, hypothetically, the boundaries of a business for a client, like with your client, the boundary might be for the salon. We don't provide full refunds. We don't do refunds. We provide beautiful hair. In the rare instance you're not happy with your hair, we will find a solution, do everything required to fix it for you. But the boundary that's our boundary, right? So all of the communication, we're upholding that as a standard and a boundary. It's the same with communicating with an intimate partner. You can talk about things and communicate, but your boundary might be, we're never going to have an open relationship, right? That's not something that's come up for us, luckily. But you know what I mean? Like, there's always a boundary of where you're at. And so I think when communicating, to support you in being a stronger communicator, if you know your personal boundaries or your work or business boundaries, your fucking policy and procedure, you're able to communicate a whole lot more confidently and more accurate, because everything is encompassed around how far can you be pushed? What are the limits? And if the person you're conversing with doesn't know that or isn't aware of that, the conversation can go so ski whiff and off track that it then just becomes, so I mean, we do it sometimes. You're on the phone to clients forever.
That's why a good communicator knows the boundaries and can sense it based on knowing the type of person they're talking to.
No, but the person communicating also needs to know the boundaries, because that's ultimately, it's the energy that you put out, right? If you go in flimsy to any conversation, especially when someone's a stronger communicator, and you neither here nor there, you're like, oh, I just wanted to bring up this, but it's fine. It's totally fine. Like, don't worry. But it did upset me a bit, but like, I totally get it. Well, it's like, did it upset you? Did it not? Was it okay for you? No, this is something that happened. I wanted to bring it up with you. It's not going to be an ongoing issue, but I had to let you know how I felt about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to what's your boundary before you communicate?
So then again, this is boils down to it. So you've got strategy, you've got boundary, you've got different ways of communicating with different people, different tonalities, the end outcome, and whether or not you're going to be direct or whether you're going to be soft or whether you need to want to retain the relationship, whether you don't give a fuck about it, whether or not you just want the best outcome for you. These are all things that need to be going through your mind before the conversation. Because I've had it before in the past where I've jumped straight into a conversation, haven't thought about what might happen if this says, what might happen with this said, not had an end goal in plan, and then all of a sudden it's turned fucking.
And then he tells me about it, and I'm like, you did not fucking say that. He's like, what? I did. And I'm like, Henry,
No, I'm not even giving one of those examples. This is I'm talking about years ago when I was much younger.
oh, when you were swooning loads of women.
Yeah. No, but not even that. Even more so when I was, in my previous roles and previous jobs, the way that I would communicate with employees and staff members and colleagues probably wasn't always appropriate because I didn't fully think through the conversation and the outcome and what that person would need to get the desired outcome.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think, I don't know. And it's also something else that's completely different to what we've been saying. If you are a stronger communicator, which without me blowing my own smoke, I feel like we're quite strong communicators. Would you agree? Like, I'm not afraid to speak my truths, to be authentic. I'm very aligned with who I am and how I feel about things. The boundaries are all there. But I've had to learn over time that just because you're a really good communicator and you know exactly where you're going and where it needs to be, you can't assume that everyone else is. And so sometimes it can feel frustrating, almost confusing if you're just like, what? Like, what's this person saying? When actually, sometimes you need to step it back and, like, not baby feed, but like simplify what you're trying to say so much so that person can actually participate. Because, yeah, if you go like ham in, this is what it is, this is what the issue is, this is what I see the solution as being, this is how I feel about it. How do you feel? People are like, I don't know. What just happened? I don't know. You know what I mean? And
You bamboozled them.
yeah, and they're just like, so another
Knowing how to communicate with the person.
100%. But it's also what is one of the other biggest parts of communicating, Henry?
Listening.
I'm so glad you got that. I'm so glad. Listening.
It's one of my best skills.
It's but I'm going to be dead honest. I found listening for like probably the best part of my life. Like, just wasn't actual for me. It's not I was like ignorant. It's not that I didn't want to listen. It's just I love talking. Do that. Yeah.
Oh, I never knew that. Sounded like you.
And I used to be really shit. And I think a friend said to me once, she said something and it actually broke my ass.
You got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason.
No, that's my mum and dad, and I told them to piss off. Like you do. No, it was like, I can't remember. We were talking about something, and she just said, "Oh," and I said, "You gone quiet?" And I can't even remember. Maybe it was in Bali years ago before I met you. And she was like, "Yeah, no, sometimes you do talk about yourself a bit. It's not that you're talking about yourself, but like like sometimes you don't listen as well." And I was like, "What? Is that what you think?" And she was like, "Yeah, like I know it's not intentional. I know you're not like self-absorbed, but you're sometimes you're talking more than you're listening. And I was like, fuck. And it wasn't even intentional. And so mindfully, there's something called active listening, which we learn in coaching, which I'm going to teach you a bit about. And it's when you listen without the intention to think about what you're going to respond. You just are completely present and you're paying attention. You're looking in the person's eyes, because Henry's always he's always looking down. Also not listening today. But yeah, and it significantly improved my relationships, my everything, actually. And I just felt really amazing for it, because people do want to be seen, heard, and understood.
Something on that. This is another tip or point to expand on.
Henry top tip.
More sales related. Everything's always find referrals back to sales. But when someone does say something, like Jade says, rather than coming out with your response, the best thing that you can actually do is have a follow-on question that's on what they've said. So we won't do a hypothetical, but let's say you say something about trees. My next question will be, oh, what type of trees do you mean? And it shows, and what it does is it shows that you've actually really listened and you're showing an interest, even if you might not care at all. Asking a question about what they've just said, rather than responding with what you want to say, is always a really good way of communicating, especially if you're wanting to build a relationship, if it's a difficult conversation, or you wanted to build rapport or any form of sales. And it's also active listening. So even if you're not listening, they think you are listening.
No, I agree. I think
you do that sometimes, because actually they might say something, but actually you need to delve deeper and go, tell me more about that. Tell me more about this.
I joke with my coaching clients all the time. What do you mean? Or a good one is, so this isn't sales, but it's a coaching thing. So, you make a say, yeah, I really love it when it's sunny, but I feel super sad when it rains. So what I'm hearing is you feel innately happier when the weather is better, and it negatively affects you when it's raining. Is that correct? And it makes literally your endorphins in your brain, like there's a chemical reaction in your brain when someone repeats in a attentive, loving, caring way. Your brain produces dopamine, because everyone wants to feel heard and seen. It's like, wow, you really understood me.
So you have to use the same letters the same words that they've used at the start.
Yeah, like you don't want to say exactly the same thing. Otherwise it's just like, you okay, bro? When someone just copies what you say, like that's dumb. But articulating it, basically what I'm hearing is, and then relaying it in a very, very similar way, using similar words, is just like the ultimate satisfaction for a human being. Especially when you're talking about something deep that, you really matters to you. When you're talking about anything, if the client asks a question on the phone, like, yeah, I'm looking for a half head of oils. So what I'm hearing is, you had a full head last time, and this time you're wanting to, give it. You fuck.
That's called systems. That's the word.
But yeah, look, there's appropriateness. Yeah, when it really, like, absolutely, when someone's trying to explain an issue, I did it just on the phone then. Someone calls up and they're like, look, I just feel like I've been to a lot of other salons. I'm coming to you because I feel like it's got red up. And, I don't know what it is. And I completely understand what you're saying. And I want to let you know that sometimes it can actually be the wrong choice of oxidant, which can be found in, other more chemical products, which can push what we call the undercoat to throw off a lot of warmth. So I understand. And they're like, oh my God, this person, she knows exactly what I'm talking about. She showed a massive level of care, and she's given me potentially a solution. But I don't ever go too much into it, because I'm always like, your stylist will fully consult you when you come in, even though you love to fully consult them on the phone, even though he's not a hairdresser. Loves it. Tells them what colour they should be having and everything, don't you?
Not quite. Not quite. This has been the most shotgun approach of a podcast that we've done.
What do you mean shotgun?
We just chat shit and you just gone off some divergence.
I think last year the burst, to be fair.
Really? What was last week's one?
I fucking can't even remember. About, I don't know, just your boxes and holes and stuff. And
at least that one was funny. This one's not been funny or organised.
All right. Well, if you want to unsubscribe, we'll promise next week's is be better. I thought it was quite good. I think people will be like, I can totally resonate with that. But he's just been neggy.
I'm not being neggy. So high standards for us. Next week we'll have the killer one. make sure you stay tuned. I'll make sure it's planned. I'll make sure we have notes. It's going to be organized. You know, we never actually just plan what we go, so let's talk about this. And we just go in and wing it.
Yeah, basically.
So basically, what we're talking about, say, communication, have an end goal. We don't do that. Please just come straight in and just fucking just bleh.
No, we do. No, I hope you enjoyed it, guys. I hope you took a fair bit from it. And you know what? Yeah, just remember, communication is key. It can take you to the stars and above, and it can also take you to the depths of hell if you get it wrong. So try and get it right. Thanks for listening, and we will speak to you and see you next week.
See you soon.
Bye. Thanks for listening.
And hopefully laughing. Be sure to leave us a review, and if you're into the madness,
Check out the links below to follow our day-to-day journey.
stay tuned for the next episode.